Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Horrifically Well Read Blood and Said. We are so happy that you've joined us for another insightfully unhinged conversation about horror and the books that really just reflect society and don't blink in the places that other places do. If you enjoy what you hear, please make sure you like, subscribe, leave a review, leave a star rating for us. It really helps the podcast get noticed. And of course, we always want to reach as many horrifically well read friends as possible. So without further ado, on to our conversation for today. Welcome back to Horrifically Well Read, Bled, and Said. Today we are so excited to have our first three-time guest, the amazing Wendy Dalrymple, here specifically to talk about Killer Summer, which is part of this amazing year of female written slashers and is just the mixture of 90s nostalgia slasher and modern sort of like feminine rage. I just absolutely adored this book. But welcome, Wendy, back to the show.
You. Thank you. Do I get a special smoking jacket like on Saturday Night Live when you're
I
a
know.
host?
I had to work that out for you, Wendy, because yes,
We got to think
We
about
both
what
had
that
to
is.
you're gonna set her like some kind of an award, like a
Uh huh.
yeah, maybe we could do like a well, Wendy always makes great graphics, so I could
Yeah.
try to make something on Canva for her and then like print it out and mail it or
I
something.
got a lot of people that 3D print things, so we'll see if we can
Yeah,
use something.
I love that. Great. Well, also in between talking to her, so we talked to you around Christmas for your Christmas special, which you had us on as guests, and in between, then you released Better Out Baby around
Your,
Valentine's
yes,
Day.
your lovely body horror Valentine's special.
We'll never think about Jello the same again. So, yes, but
Yeah, we have a checklist of things that you're ruining.
yes,
Thanksgiving,
Thanksgiving,
Jello.
Jello.
Mm, we have to wait.
Absolutely.
Love it.
You're already doing your
I've
countdown to
had
halfway to
lots and
Halloween
lots
too,
coming
right?
out, and there's lots more. I'm gonna keep every PBRs piled up.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Be
first
an
and foremost,
2027
I just have a
Halloween party
question.
demon. So
Okay, see, I just want to know, Wendy, how are you able to create as much content online as you do? Plus, create. I mean, you stay pumping out the books and their quality, and then your Instagram page is fantastic, and you're like you support all these other people. I mean, how do you do it all?
fortunate because I work for myself, so I have lots of flexibility. I have a lot of support, so I have more time than probably the average writer does. But also, this has been my lifelong dream. Like this is what I've always worked towards. It's what I'm passionate about. So fun for me. I like doing it. Keeps me going. It's my creative outlet. It's also my source of income. You and to be fair, I do seem like I have a lot coming out this year, but part of that is because a couple of the books were supposed to be published by other publishers, which have since closed.
Okay.
So they were books that should have been published in 2024 or 2025. So I'm just
Okay.
catching up a little bit, but it's going to make my publishing schedule very busy this year.
Well, it will make your tablescape probably wonderful. It's like, what would you like to pick from when you go to your events and you're like, what can I sign for you? What can you buy?
Well,
I tell you what, I mean, you seem like such a natural. It makes sense. Like you must just be like an overall just very, very creative person because I mean the graphics, the way you have fun with it. I mean, we all hear from authors how much it's a full-time job to be promoting their own books. So you always find a different angle and a fun way to just reintroduce again and again,
Mhm.
which I think is its own level of just mastery that you could like, let me try this today. Very
Social
nice.
media and self promotion for authors is like one of their number one biggest hurdles. And it's like, I'm not going to do it unless it's fun for me. Like, I can't make myself do it and just do the same kind of promotion over and over again. And I can't just promote my own work because that's boring for me. And also, I like to discover other authors. I like to help support other authors and especially other women in this genre. And so it just
Yes.
it's fun for me. I like doing it, you know?
Well, I love watching it. I love seeing what you come up with every time. Definitely admire that. And yes, for the month of Women in Horror Month, I mean, I think you really elevated so many female horror writers, and it was a lot of fun. And I think that you were a driver of the community for sure.
Gwendolyn was really I guess the third all this and really promoted or encouraged a lot of other to do this. So she kind of put the idea in my head to do it at the level that I was doing it at. And I was already going to do something that I was like, I was just starting out as an indie horror author and trying to find community, trying to find readers, and I know how hard it is. So I really wanted to focus as much as possible on new upcoming authors or indie authors, giving them a little bit of my platform.
Yeah, I love that. I think that recently there's also been a sort of new or a bigger sort of discussion around something that I feel like, anyway, for me, the first time I was introduced to the term pink horror was through you and your work. And there's this sort of newer and wider discussion that has recently come around about pink horror. And so I love that more people are talking about it. As more people talk about it, I feel like more people don't quite understand what it is, you know what I mean? Or, like, the things that it talks about because I think they're stuck so much on their own biases of what pink means than what actually is
I mean,
happening in the space. Yeah.
definitely took on a life of its own, that I didn't see it. When I started doing I'm just trying to find a way to find readers, ex- to express my point of view in horror, and it's become a thing, hasn't it? But I'm grateful for it. It's helped me meet so many people. It's helped me get so many opportunities that I wouldn't have gotten. Because kind of being true to this is how I want to present myself, and this is what I think it means to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, taking a look at this book that we're going to especially be talking about today, Killer Summer, I think that it's one of the best examples of what I think pink horror does, which is it's not a girly book, it is a book about real life issues that real women face and sort of taking that lens of horror, which, obviously is going to be a little more extreme in some of the things that happens, but the issues that are faced are so real. And I think so many people, identify with that, especially, even more so over the past like year or so as the world goes more and more, especially this country, I would say, sort of patriarchal things are being questioned or pushed. And I think these discussions are more and more vital. And I think Killer Summer has a few themes and things that are happening in there that really interestingly do that.
Well,
Before
I wore
oh,
my for Wendy for her questioning the
yeah,
patriarchal. I wore my Medusa shirt tonight with
yes,
the female gaze, hit by the patriarchy.
exactly. I love that. Okay. So, for our listeners that may not have heard of Killer Summer, can you give them a brief idea of what they're getting into with this awesome book?
Absolutely. So this is a story that spans 25 years. Follow first Danny in the late 1990s in California as a teenager, and she's just about to start her life as a college student. And something terrible happens to her that alters the entire course of her life. And she's attacked by a classmate and has to change her identity and move across the country. And 25 years later, that events of that killer summer come back to haunt her again. And it's a story that explores how this never really leaves us, how trauma can be on, throughout your life and affect your life in different ways. Explores and it explores um, the different dynamics of means to be a woman in the world and just in the world and how we have to carry ourselves differently is that men don't sometimes because of the way the world is since I like to point out with this like had to learn self-defense she's and I remember when I was graduating high school the graduation gifts were for girls going off to college were pink keychains with mace attached to them, to our cars with our keys in between our fingers, ready and poised as weapons in case somebody attacked us at night. So like I it was something that was at the forefront of my mind is that, well, as a woman in this world, just to move through the world, we have to protect ourselves and constantly just be in the mindset of we are potentially prey no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just wondering where that sort of idea, because the structure of this book is really fascinating, especially as it does explore the sort of trauma and grief and the way that that affects, somebody over a long period of time. When you sort of came for this idea, what about that structure? When did that kind of you realize like, because I would say it's what, like a third of the book is in the and then 2/3 is in sort of more present day. Where did that kind of come from, and when did you decide that that's how it was gonna go?
I really was trying to lean into a lot of the classic slashers from as a teenager, and a lot of those. And then I started to think about Halloween H2O, which is like one of the least favorite
Yes.
as for a lot of people. But kind of how you're a final girl your whole life. And
Yeah.
especially in the case of Laurie Strode, wanted to tap into that and that I think that a lot of women who have had happen to them, like what happened to Danny, I can speak for myself on that. You just feel like that's if you've done healing and you've done other things, you still carry it with you and you still, might be looking over your shoulder or feel like
Yeah, and it's funny, because what Halloween H2O was like 1998, which I think is when it was that summer that this book, initially takes place in. And it's so interesting now that the Scream franchise has lasted as long as it has,
uh-huh.
that Sydney, I didn't see the last Scream, but, in the later films where it's like she's kind of had that same thing happen now, where it is, 20 years or more that she's been dealing with this too. And it's really interesting to look at because you think of other characters or like action movies and stuff like that. These characters in these movies, all of their friends and family are murdered in each of these installments. And when you get to like five, six, seven, eight of them, so many people have been taken out. And I love that in this book, you kind of take that more head on and say, like, it's not something that you're just going to like move on with your life. It's like, it's gonna affect every relationship that you have thinking, "Am I just being friends with someone? Am I putting them in danger?"
Really.
Well, I mean, that's a level of selflessness and also just, I mean, I feel like you just the way that you develop characters and I don't know, every time I start a new book of yours, I just feel like I love to see where you're going with it because it's inventive and it's fun. You just never really fuck around. Like I just there's always this part where I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're going there. We're
Well,
going
that's
there."
what especially, it's like there's in all the sections that's the case, but there is definitely a moment in the 1998 section where you're like, "Yeah, this is gonna get real brutal, real fast," and it stays there for a long time, and it's intense, right?
As it should be. And then
I also kind of
coincidentally we had I said, "Go ahead."
no, I was gonna say that I tackle a lot of heavy topics, and there is a lot of gore and violence in a lot of my books, but I also hope readers have a fun time. I think that's why I lean into nostalgia heavy sometimes is because I think that nostalgia is comforting to a lot of us. So to be like a roller coaster when readers are reading my books, like they laugh and then they get a scream and those are my favorite things
Yes.
to watch and read. And so that's all I hope for when people are reading my work.
I just feel like you write women's point of view so well, from credenza to, bedrock baby. I'm just going to call this like, I mean, sometimes I think you have maybe like bedrock baby. I felt like she was a little bit more like, I don't want to say an unlikable character, but she was a little like maybe headstrong and just like, okay, I'm going to figure out how to manipulate the system and, I'm going to do what I need to do. But then, like in credenza, for example, it's just like you take on women as motherhood and the younger child, like you just and then for this part, like, you have the section where it's like the 1998, but then you also have someone that's kinda at that perimenopausal and just featuring more of a middle-aged woman, and I really love the scope with how you kinda touch on all varieties of women and point of views and experiences and but do it in a way that, like, even though I said she's kind of unlikable, it's like, you still like Baby. She's just, like,
She's
she's the angry
complicated,
part of a lot
right?
of us. I mean, she's the angry part of a lot of us, of
She's trying to get hers, you know what I mean?
how
Yeah.
we wanna be, right? Like, she's at a level of empowerment.
And I definitely wanted to represent and all different types of in my books because often in horror, especially, of a certain age are ignored as main characters. And then in slashers, it's typically this stereotype of a perfect virginal, final girl, which is just so played out and boring anymore that like let's get past that, right? Let's get a final girl that's actually real and doesn't have to patriarchal, conservative version of what they think a slasher final girl should be. I think it's another reason why I want to women writing horror because a lot of times I think that they do other women do know that we want to read about more than just a 20-year-old or a teenage girl. It's there's so many different layers of complexities that women can be presented in horror lens, and that's what I hope to do throughout my writing career.
Well, I definitely feel like you do that. I think you show that we can be lots of different styles, have lots of different moods, and have different moments in our life, but I always feel like whoever you're writing about, she's very triumphant.
Hope so. I mean, I want us all to win, right? Like, if we're not the most likable person, we learn some life lessons and go through some stuff, but I want us all to win.
Definitely. I mean, I just wanna go on record saying I do not have any problem with Baby. She's just a part of myself that I haven't been able to access yet, and she gave me a lot of, like, "Girl, you need to step up to the plate and get yours and do the thing," like, I think there's a lot of, like, timidity that's kind of built into the patriarchy learning of, just what you need to do as a woman and how you're supposed to be, but interestingly enough, I was like when you said about, like, kind of the virginal, female main
The
character
final girl, like,
yes,
stereotype, yeah.
and I was, like, reading through threads last night as one does around 2 in the morning of, trying to fall asleep during perimenopause. I just don't fight it anymore because now I'm like a 2 to 8 or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. But somebody said on there last night, they were like, what's the, how do lesbians know when, someone like, when their virginity is taken?" And the amount of people that they were like, "That's a male construct. Like,
Mm,
that's not anything that women care about. That's not something we've created. It's not something that's part of, like, we're never going to." And I was like, "This is why I love to read on it because, like, whatever it is, you're finding out different things, and it's like, okay, like, that makes so much sense, like, everywhere you look, there's a little bit of patriarchy hidden in life, and I just love that I was like, "Okay," I loved how many people, like, repeatedly said, like, "No, that's not how
mhm.
we handle it." So, I think even when we show representation within the horror books and among women and stuff, like, I love that we had Grace Reynolds on last night, who is your gal pal. She loves that you're writing a woman that age. It's the truth. And even like when, we've had seeing you on the panel with Tanya Pell and and RJ Joseph of just saying like that's a stage that a lot of us are in right now at the perimenopause. And it's like it wasn't something that was discussed. There's a whole bunch of people that weren't prepared for it. And it's being talked about now. And I love that.
We weren't our mothers and grandmothers were ashamed of it and to not talk about it, and it wasn't anything that was even studied for their generation, and they didn't have the resources that we have now. So, yeah, I mean, important for me to and I know, Tanya Pell's book covers perimenopause, but it's just like it's like going through puberty all over again. You're a crazy person all of a sudden,
It is.
and,
Yes.
that a lot of that held into Baby as well, into just accepting that I'm changing, and Baby's changing. I really I don't know if you read Grey Dog by Elliot Gish. I love that book, but
No, I haven't.
there's a scene in it where she talks about just relishing and letting herself become disgusting, and I that really stuck with me. And I was like, man, that's great. Like I wish more people could just like that have to be perfect all the time, or that right in that maybe where she was like going being gross and grossing people out.
Yes, and I think there's this, part of as you get older, you just kinda stop caring as much and you do let a little bit things go, but I really definitely feel like the release of, like, these Epstein files and realizing how much of and I know you'll appreciate this, Wendy, because you're so steeped in nostalgia, but how much of, like, Limited Too and,
The
like, all
yeah,
these, like, stores that are
Pink
just
and yeah.
yes, and you're just like, "Whoa," you look at it in a completely different light now of,
We
okay,
were
so
after capitalism and we didn't even know it.
exactly, exactly, and it was just like, wow,
That makes me, when I was reading about those things and hearing about that, all I could think about is Birthday Party Demon. And, the fact that they get stuck in this, like, Delia's, like, catalog and knowing now that it's, like, all of these like, all of those clothing, all of those styles, all of the stuff that was in there was picked by disgusting old men, that's what they were, like, trying to push onto women, like you said, where it's, like, being groomed by capitalism.
I don't know. I don't know if I can feel that way about Delia's. I just love Delia's too much.
That's why I was drawn to Delia's, honestly, is because it was like the Riot Girl, magazine, I guess. It was just it was the anti-mall clothing. It was like, it was the anti-bongo, it was the
It
anti-Gap.
was, and even, like,
Yeah.
it was so much of that, and I do see where you're going with the album, though, because some of it was still like, okay, look young and feminine, look like have the, like, let's think about, like, Cher's outfit in, what's the movie I'm thinking of
Clueless, yeah.
here?
Mermaids?
Where, she has, like, the schoolgirl skirt
Yes.
and all
The
like,
sort
you
of
could
precursor to Britney
and you
Spears.
could get that in, like,
Yeah.
a Delia's too, but you were getting and still it was very, like, you're showing off, like, the way that just, like, certain shirts, and things, but, I mean, I just it's funny because I saw a picture the other day of Renee Zellweger as in Bridget Jones and how she does that whole thing of like, "Guys, I was so" like, she was like, "I'm so fat here," and she's like 130 pounds or
Yeah.
something, and it's like and it was because at that time it was like the heroin chic again,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, I just a lot of this to unpack, but I know we've talked about the Delias, but, like, were you a Deb shop girly?
The thrift store girly. I was like, I would bet I couldn't at a thrift store, we were, we'd get I'd try to find dupes at Kmart or wherever. This was like my inspiration. And so I would try to find stuff at thrift stores or at other cheap stores that kind of looked adjacent to Delia's, but before for Delia's.
I never even knew how girls got the Delia's magazine. I just always remember seeing it in school and being like, "This is amazing," and,
I think if you have
same
like a
thing with
subscription to 17 or something that they probably sent it to you by default through a
Yeah. They sold your address to yeah.
how lovely, but, yeah, at the same time, you're right, they were such, like I don't know, it was such a vibe in the '90s, and you just capture it so well, and, like, I love watching these girls right now that are, like, lining their lips again. They just put the liner on and then it's like a very light nude, and I'm like, "Oh god, it's such a throw," and, like, the little clips that they're putting in their hair again, like, they're not the full-on butterfly clips, but, like, they're
Mhm.
little clips, like, we keep edging towards some of this nostalgia that is coming back around, and I love it.
Y2K fashion is back for sure. My little son is starting college, and we were next fall, and so we were at his school, and I'm like, all the kids are wearing Abercrombie and Hollister, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, this
Yeah,
is
it's wild.
why
It's wild. Do you just walking into that store and the, like, smell of cologne
Hollister, oh my god.
and, like, the music playing, I mean, it was a shopping experience, I mean, it was
Yeah.
pretty what's the word? Like, not
Sensory
indoctrinating, but,
oh, yeah.
like, you just kind of were taken over. I mean, where else were you getting that? It wasn't you could go into, like,
yeah.
Spencer's and have a really
Yeah.
crazy time, and they would have some fun stuff with, like, their like, do you remember playing with, like, all the phones in there? And they
Oh,
would have
yeah.
all the, like, crazy cards, and, I mean, that was a store that, like, when you go to the mall, it was like you had to hit up Spencer's.
Spencer's and yeah, all those,
Mhm.
definitely. And I love how, like, Abercrombie& and Hollister was always, like, when you walked in we didn't have a Hollister, but we did have Abercrombie, and, like, when you went in, you always felt like you just walked in on, like, the cool kids talking because they were like, "Oh god, what do you want? What do you wanna
Yeah.
buy something?" God, it's so annoying.
Speaking of
It's
cologne,
like
so for whole thing that you guys are bringing up is reminding me. So for Killer Summer, things that I touched on to really bring the nostalgia back around was the senses and particularly sense of smell. It's like how powerful, like with the cologne, like if I smell Old Spice cologne, it makes me want to like barf. Like I have such a horrible like memory of the 90s.
yes,
So, the power of recall and just,
scent.
obviously music and fashion and other things can help her, but like scent is
Yes,
such powerful and underexplored that can really store
yes,
in
Well,
memory.
I think that, like, when you watch, like, a Halloween or something like that, there's very specific music cues that come on to let you know that Michael Myers is around, and it's like, there are a lot of slasher books now, and it's really hard to find something similar to that you can do in a book. Because, and I think it's brilliant the way that you did that in Killer Summer, where she's like, she smells that, that signature scent, and it's like, okay, is she like, because that'll happen too, where it'll be like a piece of it, or maybe you thought you smelled something. It's like, and so it's very cool the way that it's like, did I really smell that, or am I just like, having a bad memory because of something else? And I think that that's such a cool way to be like, oh, danger is potentially nearby.
it's I think smell is one of the most underrated,
You make me stroke
like
and I'm smelling something now.
yes. Well, that's a thing for perimenopause, right? Where they say if you're smelling smoke, like, it's just a normal thing. Yes, I haven't, knock on wood, experienced that one yet, but when you think back to those types of colognes of, like, Curve was, like, highly used,
CK1 is in the book.
yeah, Cool Water.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and, Wendy, I'm thinking about there were so many different shampoos back then, like that summertime that I just, like, relate to the summer of, like, this is my summer of 8th grade using, this shampoo and, like, using the Sun In and remembering what that smelled like and,
The smell of
it's just
Sun-In followed by Opalescence shampoo is like a time machine.
Yes.
exactly, or Vidal Sassoon, or I think it was Outrageous that I was using for the summer of 8th grade because my older brother, 6 years older, and his, like, prom queen girlfriend used it, and I was like, "Mom, I have to get this because," and it's just it does it. You smell it and you're instantly transported back. So definitely love, and you're right, Adam. Now you're like, "Oh, you can hear those cues when Michael Myers around." I feel like that's probably you. Like, I don't think I would have noticed that 'cause you're very, like, sensitive to a score. I remember the first time we ever watched
Dark Knight.
yes, and you were like, "God, that score was so like, it was so awful how it was just vibrating the whole time," and I'm like, "It was?"
Yeah.
But I
Or can make or break
definitely
a
am the
movie.
person
Yes, absolutely.
but I smell everything, and I'm bothered by all kinds of smells, and so I definitely relate to your book of, like, I would be able to track that down
Mhm.
very much. Once upon a time, I woke up in the middle of the night smelling, natural gas, and
Oh,
Adam's
yeah.
like, what is going on here?" And I'm like, "There is a gas leak in this apartment." And he's like, "No, it's not." And I'm like, "I am telling you, we need to get out." And so you go downstairs, you walk out, and then you turn around and go back in the apartment, and it was like, it just
Yeah,
punches you right in the face. But no, I've always been highly sensitive to a lot of smells and just, love that. Love
yeah.
that you had so much fun with it. It's just so fun to even talk to you about, reminisce about this stuff. Like I never feel like I don't sit and spend time thinking about it. So you just bring a lot of joy through your books to even I mean, obviously we're solving a murder and we're listening to gore and all these things, but we're also just feeling ourselves of trip of memory lane.
And that's just what I to bring to the table.
And one thing that I especially love is that 1998, when they go to see a movie, that it's urban legend that they go to. I think that's one that is not talked about enough. I love the first one, and I think the second movie is extremely underrated as well as one of the slashers at that time. So,
I just
I
rewatched
love
Urban Legend. I forgot all the people that were in it. Like it was
yeah, Tara Reid, like the guy that ended up being Lex Luthor on the Smallville show. There's a lot of people in
Hart,
that
who I
first
love.
Open ended up being the killer, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
And then, in the second one had what? Anthony Anderson, Jennifer Morrison from House, like, it had a ton of people. Eva Mendes, I think, was in the second one.
Find that one.
Yeah, and that one's kinda cool too, because like, I think that your book has a little bit of in the present section, she is a screenwriter and well, like ghost screenwriter kind of thing, and, like, the second one's all in film school too, so I thought that was, like, a cool, like, mirroring of that part as well that I really loved. But I really love, again, it's funny you talk about H2O. I also was thinking about the more recent Halloween movies with the way that Laurie is portrayed there, and I love in the, modern section, 2 things I wanted to talk about. One is the fact that she's basically given up on any kind of law enforcement help, that she's like, "If anything happens, I've gotta take care of it myself."
And I think that that's, like, and when I wrote this a while ago, but I think that that's also reflective of our times, and that I think that a lot of people feel like you can report things. That doesn't mean that you'll get justice. That doesn't mean that you'll be protected, you know?
It really is such a frustrating thing. Danny does what she's supposed to do, like, she tells people what's going on, she talks to the police, especially after the first attack, and it's just kind of like, well, there's not much we can do unless he's actively killing you, right?
Unfortunately, and that's I think a lot of experience of a lot of victims is, especially when you don't, even if you have witnesses, even if you have proof and evidence, just sometimes the police can only do so much, the system can only do so much, you know?
And you have a really like, the character, that kind of is throughout both sections or was part of both sections, you kind of allow that character to have that frustration and, really it's not just a, like, "Too bad I can't do anything." It's like they really do feel horrible about it, the way that their hands are tied.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's process, right? Like, you do want to give people due process, but at the same time, I think that a lot of people would agree that the system is not set up to protect victims.
I would imagine there's a lot of times that people feel like they would wanna do more or there's just not enough, to convict or to stop or to order something, but they've seen the patterns enough to know, like, this is not good. It's almost like it has to cross the line before something's done, like, too far
Yeah,
along.
yeah, and I think not even in just domestic abuse cases or stalking cases. I think that that's just in general is you can push the envelope on almost anything, but you have to actually commit the crime and do harm before something's done.
Yeah, and the thing is that, this character in this book, Matt Vickers, he is not the weird gross, kid, stereotypically someone that is on anyone's radar, like from the law or anything. This is an athletic, comes from a wealthy family, on all surfaces, the right guy, but he is a disgusting killer.
Yeah. Well, and I thought that that was more realistic to the experience of a lot of people. Like, most people don't get attacked by somebody that looks like Freddy Krueger. They get attacked by somebody that looks like the boy next door, or somebody that has had a lifetime of excuses made for them and a lifetime of opportunities, and can think
Absolutely.
that they can do whatever they want and get away with it because they have been able to. And so that was the kind of
Yes.
character I wanted to create with Matt Vickers.
I think you nailed it because that's what ends up happening, right? It's just like, "My son would never do this," and, just different things like you're like I mean, you said it, it's like a lifetime of, excuses made. I remember Adam, like, you and I were researching before our oldest daughter went to college of, like, how much sexual assaults happen from friends
Mhm.
and people and ones that you trust versus it being that creepy person. I mean, not that those don't happen, but, yes.
Yeah, it's almost always someone that you know.
It's the entitlement, I think, of, "I can push this girl."
Mhm.
And I think that, like, I love the fact that Danny almost immediately knows something's wrong with this guy too. And I love that, it's sort of that message of like, trust your gut. It doesn't matter who that person is. It doesn't matter who they, position themselves as. If you don't want their attention and they keep pushing it on you, they're a bad guy. Like, and
Yeah.
stay away from.
And then, Danny is in a position of service working at the counter at the video store. And if you're a bartender, if you're a cashier, if you're a server, if you're in a position of customer service where you have to be pleasant and polite and kind to people, number one, that can be misread by people. And number 2, you have no other option at your job but to be kind to these people who could be creeping out on you, you know?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah. And, it kind of makes me think about, especially someone like yourself that, part of what you do because, as a writer in general that wants people to buy their books, but especially one that has been self-published, that has been indie published. You do a lot of your own marketing, and you go to these events um, to sell your books and to talk to readers. And it's 99%, I'm sure, wonderful, but it's that same thing where it's like people think that because you're there, because you're nice, that you feel a certain way about them or that they have a certain amount of access to you. And I'm sure that, that's something that you even have to think of now as someone at an event, selling your books.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I do end up having to keep myself at arm's length sometimes. But at my, big girl age now, I've been able to develop spidey senses and kind of see where things are going with people when they overstep, and kind of nip things in the bud before they get to be too bad. But 17-year-old Wendy, did she know how to do that? No. But now I'm better at that. And so I feel more comfortable being in public in that way because I know how to advocate for myself now.
That's really good. Did you feel like that just took a lot of practice, or did it be that you're hitting in that certain age and you're just like, "I just don't give a shit anymore. I'm done with this."
Well, perimenopause will do that for dang sure. But, I think that I'm at the point in my life now where I feel confident to be out in public doing this in that way. I've been writing for my whole life, but in my 30s even I still wasn't ready yet for this level of being open about myself and my work. So, yeah, I think it's just experience and being ready at this time to do that.
Yeah, and I love the fact that, it's still nowhere where it needs to be for any of these kinds of things, but it becoming a lot more common and a lot more, commonplace to call out this behavior, especially, I think that other men calling out someone that might be their acquaintance, might be their friend to be like, absolutely not. You should not be doing this. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, and it's not everybody's job to police everybody else, but it does make me feel more welcome amongst my male horror author peers when I see them actively saying this isn't okay and calling out stuff like that. So, yeah, it does help.
you touch on this with the character of Danny's aunt in the book as well, that on both sides, it feels like this is generational. That, fathers to sons and grandfathers, like these predators pass down, like,
Yes.
this is how you feel about women. This is how you feel about people, quote unquote, weaker than you, whether it's physically, mentally, whatever it might be. If they feel that way, this is how you act towards them.
Yeah.
And, for also like Danny's aunt, again, we don't get into what it is, but there is obviously something in the past that has happened. Danny now is that way too. And I love that this book kind of touches on that, but then also says you can break the cycle. If you choose to, you say no, you say, I'm going to take this in my hands and I'm going to stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because if there's nobody else to protect you, you have to protect yourself.
It's interesting. I was having the conversation with my best friend today about certain generations. We felt like, especially of our parents' age, so in their like later 60s, mid 70s, like it was just fully acceptable for like the people in our family we knew to just like ogle waitresses and like
Mhm.
and just say whatever they wanted. And it's just like, and they don't, and I'm not saying this is anyone else's experience, it's just mine and hers, but just like there is not a filter. And just saying like we've had to have the conversation of it may have been appropriate at one time in your life to say and voice these things,
Accepted.
Mhm.
never appropriate, tolerated, but it's inappropriate now and we won't.
Right, or
Right.
it's like, having no idea that it's like, okay, this waitress, like, makes no money unless you tip her. So they're gonna deal with bullshit. They don't like it. They need money, you know? It's like this is their livelihood, and making their livelihood should not mean that they have to deal with verbal abuse from you.
Yes, and the eyes and all that kind of stuff, so but it's just like saying, like, "We're not gonna go out to dinner with you. We're
Mhm.
not gonna go do those things." Like, you're making us feel uncomfortable in the
Mhm.
booth, let alone how they're thinking about it. And so it's like, it's gross. And it's like, you have to change your behavior. Or we're not hanging out with you,
Yeah.
whether it's family or not. It's like, well, and it just felt like this was interesting that you're saying that because it is uncomfortable to have those conversations. But
Mhm.
I'm just like, I'm thinking
Well,
about what
but that's the
these
only way
faces
we've
look
seen any kind of shift, and things aren't nearly as bad as they were, but they can always be better. And if we don't call people out or hold people accountable, and then they're just
absolutely.
keep doing it.
I just refuse to sit and be uncomfortable anymore and excuse other people's like behavior for that. And it's like I don't I'm going back to what you're saying of like you've learned some ways to do that. And it's like I think part of me I get a little bit of like frozen. I can get a little angry. Like if I say something right now, I think it's gonna like explode. But I'm not gonna dismiss it. I'm not gonna not say anything, even if I have to circle back a day or two later. I'm
Mhm.
gonna advocate for it now, and I am proud of that.
Yeah, and I think that it just a lot of it is practice and time, and not every it takes it takes a lot of bravery to speak up for yourself, even for what might seem like the littlest thing, but it takes a lot of bravery, because I think a lot of us are also taught to not say anything, to just like diffuse a situation and not make a scene, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's this whole cultural thing. Oh, that's just men. That's just a dirty old
Hmm.
man.
Yeah.
Those are boys,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's just no.
Well, I love the way that you can take these themes and these things that, you know, they're very true, they're very real problems, and they're very disturbing, and put it in a book that is also fun as hell, creepy, like, so I love the difference in pacing and the difference in the way that the 2 parts of the stories act. I love that the first part of the book is just, like, this, like, insanely fast-paced, frenetic slasher of our dreams and nightmares, and then it turns into this really wonderful meditative thing in the second half that also is really, really creepy and scary and builds to this really, like, amazing crescendo at the end that I people are discovering now that the book is out. Do you find that, like, something, because I feel like you do it really well in all of your books, I'm especially thinking of Credenza and Bedrot Baby doing it, of balancing, this is a really fun, enjoyable read that tackles really real issues at the same time.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that, because that's ultimately my hope, my goal when I'm writing. I want people to, enjoy and have fun. Because for me, horror is fun. I also
Mhm.
like to read and watch bleak horror that's like not got happy endings or that isn't fun. But I love the roller coaster of it. I love the highs and lows, and so if someone can say that they had a good time reading my horror book, then that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you nail it for sure.
I think
Knowing
that's
that.
why sorry, I just have to tell her. I think that's why you're like one of my if you're gonna rate it, I wanna read it
Mhm.
because I always have a good time with your books and I'm always learning something, but I don't feel like you position it that way, but you do. You tackle tough issues while grossing me out. And also just I have a really good time. And I think that for you as someone who has like a hallmark of you put out a lot of books, you do a lot of great marketing. And it's just like as a reader, Adam asked me the other day, like, who's somebody if they put it out, like you're gonna pick it up and read it. And it's like one of Wendy's books for sure,
Absolutely.
So with that being said,
I'm gonna the one that you know about. I have a couple more too that I can't talk about, but I can talk about Feed the Tree, which is coming out in September from Quill and Crow Publishing, and this is a historic Florida Gothic erotic horror novella. Did you catch all that?
historic, erotic, historic gothic, erotic,
Florida Gothic.
Florida Gothic
Yeah.
novella. You said my favorite
Yes,
buzzwords,
horror
like, you don't
novella.
even have
Yeah.
to well, maybe, like, I shouldn't not like a huge I'm not, like, huge into the erotic scene, but I know a lot of girlies who are, and I'm trying to, like, lean that way, and if anybody I'm gonna try it with, it will be yours.
We've had some historic elements and obviously, like, nostalgic, like, 90s, that kinda thing, but I would say especially, like, Credenza has some sort of historic elements in it. but to have like the whole thing set during historic period like that, that had to have been super fun to tackle.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So this is a little different than what you might have read from me before. I have dabbled. I have some a gothic romance, ghost, a couple of things that I've done in the past. I've done some erotic romance in the past, that I kind of don't promote much because it's like older stuff. It's hard for me to. I have so many genres I work with, and I have to pick and choose, right?
Yeah.
But this was really fun for me, because obviously I love the state of Florida, I love the history, I'm a student of the history of the state of Florida. This one, it's erotic light, so it does have some sexy times, but it's not, like, gonna hit you in the face with the sexy times.
Hmm.
But it's set in the Florida Panhandle, and there's a state park there called Tate's Hell State Park, and when I learned the history of the state park, that was part of the influence for setting my story there. It's a very wild coastal region, that's not very populated and not very visited in the state, and so it's just really a magical place to me, very creepy, very perfect for my Florida Gothic historic setting that I wanted.
That absolutely love that. Do you already have, like, all the visions in your head of the things that you're gonna make on Canva? Because 'Cause I'm always loving what you're doing for the promotion for that too.
Possibly, I'm trying to hold back for now because I'm really going to try to, like, lean into spooky season and darker stuff. Because right now it's, like, spring, summer, and so I'm still in my pink glitter phase. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
you know so,
Yes.
come August, I'll start thinking more Halloween-esque, fall themes for it, but yeah, it's about, a young woman who is of the late 1800s. She's alone in the wilderness with her father who's dying, and she meets a swamp witch who can grant her a wish, and, stuff doesn't go very well for her after that, unfortunately. Part of the thing that she needs to do to fulfill her wish is she has to feed a tree. And so what she feeds it is part of the story. And, anyway, it's still very much in line with my messaging in my books and my what I but there's no humor in this one. So it's not fun, it's pretty dark.
Okay. Well, I am very excited. Like, as soon as I saw the announcement and everything, I was excited, but to hear a little more detail gets me even more pumped. And so pre-orders are open for that September 5th. That is super exciting. And to know that you have some secret stuff coming is even more exciting too.
Know if Wendy, like, quits. Like, I think she's you probably are just juggling, like, 3 to 4 books all the time. Do you sleep?
I do. Well, I'm fortunate that this is what I get to do mostly full time. I do freelance copywriting, and then I write in between that. So I have a lot more time than probably your average writer to dedicate to the craft right now, but I
Well,
spent a lot of
you're using
years
it well for
working in
Yes,
sure.
you are.
corporate and raising kids. Yeah, I've been waiting for this moment in my life to have this amount of time to really dedicate to it, and I have a lifetime of stories, so I don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
I'm so happy for you for that. That's wonderful. And second of all, I'm happy for all of us
Oh yeah.
that we get to
Thank you.
have that, because it's like having a lifetime of stories ready to go. Like, okay, lock
Mhm.
in.
Bring it on for sure. So we're coming up on 2 weeks from Killer Summer's release. What
Yes.
has it been like for this book to come out and like the early reception for it? Because I'm seeing so many great things on social media and everything about it. So hopefully you're feeling the love.
Yeah, it's been great. I'm gonna have a book signing, I think, next month, a couple weeks after StokerCon. It's been kind of hard to get all my book signings together for that because I've been so busy promoting Bedrock Baby. Also, that's the only downside
Mhm.
to having so many books come out is trying to equally give them time for promotion. But but
How do
yeah,
you
it's been
equally love all of your children?
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. And I see that you're on a really cool panel for Stoker as
I
well.
I'm very excited about that one, and I will be hopefully cleared to talk about another secret thing at Stoker, maybe before, we'll see.
exciting. Okay, so keep your eyes peeled on Wendy's socials, and if you're at Stoker, make sure you attend that panel. It's going to be amazing anyway. All
Oh,
the
yeah, there's a lot of
people
great people on
to
there.
be on that, but absolutely. Thank you so much again. For coming back, leading this. Oddly ironic that a book that kind of has two parts and sections like that. But we had to
You
do
know,
this. I swear I did not plan it.
that things work out in mysterious ways, don't they?
Yes, they do. Well, thank you so much again, and it sounds like we, already have something to set up for your, 4th time.
We're gonna get you to that jacket, to that Hall of Fame, absolutely. We gotta give Wendy a punch card that
Yeah,
she
that's
get
what it is.
what is
No, I want my 5 timers jacket. I want my
that
Yeah,
smoking jacket
okay,
absolutely.
like from Saturday Night Live.
I
I
love it.
gotta brush off my cricket skills for, the back of it.
Okay, but you were
It's
really
gotta
good.
be a pink satin
Listen,
jacket
you
too.
were actually really
Of
good at
course.
that.
Uh-huh.
He designed a lot of stuff and,
Yep.
like, created his own things and, like
Look, right around COVID, that was my thing. I was making T-shirts and all kinds
yes,
of stuff.
he did a good job.
Oh, I love that.
So we can definitely think of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of these events that we're at together, we're gonna unveil it and surprise you.
Yes.
I'll take a virtual jacket too. You can just design one on Canva.
Oh, there you go.
That's so cute. A badge. Thank
Yeah, well,
you.
thank you so much, and look forward to talking again soon.
Alrighty, you guys have a good night.
Yep, you
Alright,
too.
bye-bye.
Bye.